one of my boyfriend's 21 male best friend's 22 male family's pregnant wife and toddler house burned down in the California wildfire and are now coming to live with us in our small apartment. I did not agree to this, and I, 21 female, am feeling extremely anxious and panicked. First, I just want to preface this by saying that I am fully willing to support their family through tangible means like buying them food, supplies, furniture, etc. I just don't think our apartment is a viable option. My boyfriend and I live in a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment in a very expensive area. Rent is around $300 a month, and we're both stressed out college students. This guy has been best friends with my boyfriend since high school, and they regularly keep in touch and drive to see each other. My boyfriend and I live in Norcal while they live more south. The friend has not been in a good financial situation for the last 2 years. He dropped out of community college after he got a girl pregnant, and they ended up getting married after she gave birth. She's now 7 months pregnant with their second child. My boyfriend and I usually go down to visit them together, and we always pay for meals, and I always try to buy a couple of toys for their 2-year-old. We have been in contact with them since last night. They were able to safely evacuate and bring some essentials, including their car, but their house has burned down. My heart aches for their family, and I really want to help them by transferring money, or even calling some of my friends who live in SoCal to see if they are willing to take them in. But during a FaceTime call this morning, my boyfriend immediately, without any hesitation or asking me, offered up our small apartment to them. They were very thankful and at first said that it would be too much for us. But my boyfriend insisted, and they graciously accepted in the end. I was in the background fairly silent the entire time. After my boyfriend hung up, I asked him why he just extended the offer without even asking me, and he acted shocked and said that he thought that I would 100% support his decision. I told him that I would have in any other living situation. But we are 2 poor college students, living in a small-ass apartment in an expensive area, and it is definitely going to be more than difficult to accommodate his friend, his pregnant wife, and toddler. My boyfriend said that I was being a bit selfish and that they just lost their house and that I should be more understanding and sympathetic. And don't get me wrong, I agree that I'm being selfish, but I am also being reasonable and trying to think rationally. I may be a bit biased since I am in the middle of preparing for the MCAT, which I'm taking in January, and I really need to do well on it, and dear God, it is not an easy test. My boyfriend and I are both in very stressful majors that require a shit ton of work and studying, and on top of that, he and I both are working part-time. I feel like I'm already so stressed out right now with school, work, and everything. I look forward to quiet time in our apartment that we get to spend. I digress, but I can't help but think of how this changes everything. Of course, this is probably temporary, even though my boyfriend said they could stay as long as they need to. But right now is really not the time. My boyfriend and I argued over this for an hour, and I ended up just heading out for the day. My boyfriend is sticking to his plan, and he texted me saying that he's sorry and that he knows it'll be hard, but to remember we're doing a good thing and supporting our friends in a time of crisis. I couldn't help but think that it was really his friend, and not ours, but I might just be being bitter. They are planning to drive up tomorrow morning. I am just so worried, stressed, and my anxiety is through the roof. I came home around 2 hours ago and noticed that my boyfriend has already set up a mattress in our second bedroom, which is our office or work area, and set up the couch. I burst into tears and almost had a panic attack. I just don't know how to deal with toddlers, and I also don't know how to support and take care of a pregnant woman. My boyfriend comforted me, but I can't help but feel a bit resentful right now. He agreed to this without asking me, and I can't fight back now. I would seem like such a horrible person. I'm still crying in our room as I'm typing this, and my boyfriend went out to stock up on groceries. God, I don't know what to do, and I feel so panicky. What can I do at this point, Reddit? I'm at a complete loss. Edit. Pretty relevant piece of information that I left out because I did not want to impose any unnecessary bias. Now I see its relevance. Copied from a comment below. To be very honest, I am not the biggest fan of their family. From what I could tell from visiting them with my boyfriend, they do not have their shit together. While we visited them around 3 months ago, the wife regularly went out and partied while pregnant, and their toddler is extremely unbehaved. While I was there last time, I had to help change the toddler's diaper while the wife was out partying and my boyfriend and his friend were playing video games. Update November 12, 2018 next day. Never thought I'd be updating so fast, but everything was resolved in one of the most hectic and stressful nights of my life. Shout out to all of my supporters out there. You guys made my day yesterday. And to those of you calling me heartless because I don't think offering our living space up is a good idea when I've said that I am willing to support them in any other way. Fuck you. The pregnant wife, husband, and toddler arrived at our apartment last night around 9:30 p.m. They had already told us on the way that their toddler contracted some kind of food poisoning and was not feeling well, which is what delayed them. Me and my boyfriend go down to greet them and we realize that they have so much luggage. There were 2 large suitcases, a duffel bag, and like 4 Trader Joe's shopping bags filled with random stuff and half-eaten food. Okay, cool. That's gonna be fun lugging up the stairs. So my boyfriend and the husband starts to bring up their stuff, while I stay back and half carry the pregnant wife up the stairs because she feels too tired and nauseous. We get upstairs and I ask where Jake, the toddler, is. And the wife realizes she forgot to unbuckle him from the car seat and left him in there. She asked if I could go down and grab him. I wanted to say, not my forgotten toddler, not my responsibility. But alas, I decided to try to be gracious at least for the first day, so I went down and unstrapped the toddler who looked visibly sick. There were literally 2 bags of vomit next to him which I removed from the car and threw in the trash, because it would have been forgotten and become a severe health hazard. I tried to see if he can walk and he started crying and started dragging himself on the ground, so I picked him up and carried him up the stairs. I set the kid down next to our couch and Lord Almighty, this kid did not look good. His cheeks were flushed really red. There was dried vomit caked on his face and his breathing seemed quick or rapid. I feel his forehead and it feels really hot to the touch, so I run to the bathroom to get a thermometer. While I'm digging for the thermometer I hear, "Again? Are you fucking kidding me, Jake?" So I rush out and indeed, fucking hell, the tot has thrown up all over our carpet. I wanted to cry. I run to the kitchen to grab paper towels, but the pregnant wife was already using some sort of napkin or cloth to sop it up, but she was smearing it and making it worse and I wanted to die. I came to help her and the tot is screaming at this point while she is yelling at him to shut the fuck up. My boyfriend and the husband came over to help, but the wife told them to go away because she got it handled. The wife asked me if I would mind taking him to the bathroom to rinse him, and the only reason why I say yes is because I'm seriously worried about the kid. I strip him and run warm water in our tub and put him in. Then I put a thermometer in his mouth and lo and behold, he has a temperature of 106 degrees. Not a good sign at all. That paired with symptoms of vomiting, rapid breathing, and looking really lethargic is a combination good enough for the year. So I yell for the mother to get to the bathroom and ask her where she thinks he got the food poisoning from. She says she doesn't know and that he's just eaten fruit for the past 2 days. I'm freaking out because his symptoms are consistent with meningitis. Poor kid keeps grabbing his head and crying, so clearly he has a headache too. I ask her if she's gotten him vaccinated for meningitis and she said she doesn't think he's been vaccinated at all. I'm going into panic now. I feel Jake's neck and try to ask him slowly if he feels like it's difficult to move. He just cries more. I ask her to call for my BF and husband and explain the situation to them, and the husband confirms that the baby has not gotten vaccinated for the meningococcal backs, so it's a no-brainer at this point. I tell them how life-threatening this infection is and that it may leave Jake paralyzed. The wife bursts into tears and gives the okay, so all 4 of us plus Jake get in their car to drive to the ER. My boyfriend is driving and I'm in the back cradling Jake and checking for rashes on his arms and legs with a cell phone flashlight. The wife is still crying. I am close to crying. We finally get to the ER and I tell them there is a 2-year-old with symptoms blah blah and blah, with no vaccination for meningitis, and we suspect he has it. They immediately bring him in and ask me if I was the parent, and I said no and pointed to the wife who was trailing behind me in tears. They brought her in with the toddler and told me to stay in the waiting area. At this point, I take my first breath. 5 minutes later, the husband and my boyfriend come rushing in and I tell the husband to go talk to staff so they could bring him in. He does and my boyfriend comes to hug me and fuck it, I just start bawling my eyes out. He keeps telling me he's sorry and that it's his fault. I'm still crying into him. He calls an Uber for me and tells me to go home and get some sleep and that he'll handle the rest. I'm too tired to resist, so I get home at like 12 o'clock am, brush my teeth, and just crash after I got a text saying they put him on antibiotics and are waiting for blood test results and the culture, but that he was stable. I wake up the next morning at like 10 o'clock am and the apartment is like super quiet and my boyfriend isn't in bed next to me. So I get up and walk into our living area and see him sleeping on the couch and not a single luggage bag or pregnant wife in sight. I nudge my boyfriend awake and he tells me everything that happened. The toddler is in the ICU and my boyfriend managed to get a hotel nearby for them for half the price after telling them what had happened. He paid for a week-long stay for them and then helped move everything out of the apartment and to the hotel with the husband while the wife was at the hospital. He kept saying he was sorry and that he didn't think anything through and for me to forgive him. I said it was okay and hugged him. It turned out to be one hell of an experience I don't ever want to relive again. But I'm glad Jake is safe and I'm glad they won't be living with us. Also, some key points that people keep missing. The pregnant wife, husband and toddler chose to drive over 600 miles to live in our 2BD2B instead of living with the husband's wealthy only around 200 miles away family, who were also the ones to pay for their house and house them for 2 years. I have my suspicions as to why this is the case, but you make your own judgments. And finally, the pregnant wife's behavior is no different than normal. I've been to their house multiple of times and I can confirm that she curses at her child, drinks while pregnant, and is unable to adequately care for the child.